This is Nerdhat.
This is Nerdhat.
This is Nerdhat.
Nerdhatters!
What's up?
Yeah.
We're here.
Let's get into this week's episode. I am so excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Say it with passion.
I did.
So we'll be getting into this shortly, but
Don't call me Shirley.
Don't.
Nope. Continue.
Oh, someday we'll cover that.
No.
To Laura's dismay.
I will not. No, that is such a dumb movie.
We have
I will cover Ace Ventura.
Instead of Airplane.
Yeah, that is just so stupid. No, I am not kidding. I will sit it out just because no. Can you, never mind.
Alma, you want to say it with me? So our daughter is refusing to go to sleep.
Yep.
She's here. Alma, yeah, you got it. So you got to be quiet, kiddo, okay?
Can you be quiet?
Can you go to sleep? Anyway, we're here as advertised in yesterday's Instagram post. We are covering Jeff Smith's Bone and Stan Sakai's Usagi Yojimbo.
Hey, Richard, I didn't understand what you said, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. For those of you on video, look at this massive book.
Yeah, look at this. Is this the entire, everything Jeff Smith has produced, or only up to a certain point?
No, that's everything in the original Bone story until Scholastic was like, you have to make more.
And it is, let me see, shoot.
So in other words, this
is 1,332 pages long.
Yes, that's everything that really matters.
It's an easy read, though, I have to say. I'll say more about that later. But anyway, we're not covering the entire thing, nor are we covering the entirety of Usagi Yojimbo, which has been going on for quite some time.
This is book 12.
Specifically, we are covering the Grasscutter saga series, for lack of a better term.
The first part.
Issues 13 to 22 from the year 1999, originally.
Well, you
published
have got
by
your notes.
Dark Horse. And we are covering The Great Cow Race, which was issues number 7 through 11 of Bone from 1994, just the second year that Bone was out and about, as it were. That also won the Eisner. So yes, it is a battle of Eisner Award-winning comic books this week.
Speaking of Eisner, he actually wrote the preface to this book, so that means I automatically win, right?
As opposed to the postface.
I'm joking. But yes, he did write the introduction, but I'm joking.
So am I.
So you.
So anyway, that's coming later. We do have a little bit of podcast business prior to that. First of all, it's February, which means we have a new fundraiser of the month. So we are partnering this month with H.O.P.E of Winston Salem. It is an organization specifically that provides food to families that have need, families that struggle with food insecurity. They also provide some educational resources for the same families or other families that need to learn about food, how to grow your own food, things like that. They've been around for quite a while. And check out the post I put up on Instagram, both to learn more about them as well as to donate to our fundraiser. So if we get at least 150 people to donate $1, we will meet our goal. And guys and girls and assorted nerd persons, I think we can blow past that goal. $150 is not a lot of money, but every little bit helps. That would, I think, buy at least, I'm going to get my math wrong. It would buy quite a few meals for people. We'll put it that way. Even $150 will go a long way. So, hey, go click on the link to donate. You can also go to the website. Say if you genuinely can't donate anything except your time and you happen to live in the Winston-Salem area, you can go to their website, look at opportunities. There's also other types of donations that they accept. So check them out. H.O.P.E of Winston-Salem. That is the fundraiser for February.
Awesome.
And in other news, we officially have our first Nerdhat.
Absolutely.
Check this out. This is courtesy of a local business, Retroid Games.
It's a cool hat.
Yeah,
Which we
it's a pretty cool hat.
have been officially customers of in the past.
Yeah, Will has been shopping there longer than I have. I discovered them
Until I couldn't afford to anymore because I'm poor.
This is true, and it's very,
I will shop
very
there
tempting.
again once I'm not poor.
They have an awesome selection, and they take their video games very seriously.
Yes.
They do, I think, refurbishing of video games, and they have an excellent selection of retro video games and new video games, all lovingly used and or restored. So go check them out if you live here in Winston-Salem. Retroid Games. I don't think they have an online store open just yet, but you can still follow them on social media. They get pretty inventive with their social media posts, so you can do that for fun. And if you happen to be visiting Winston-Salem, check them out. They are a great place to go to get both classic and current video games. So thank you to Retroid Games.
Thank you.
And we will be pulling the category for the next episode out of that hat later in this episode. And finally, last bit of news, and I'm not going to say too much about this because I have a little ad already recorded that's going to tell you more, but we now have a Patreon.
Oh, we do. Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
here,
Is it
I'll
live?
It is live. I'll show you while I'm talking about it, but I've got it set up. I've got the first post made.
Oh, cool.
I've got the tiers set up, and it is live, so just look us up. It's pretty straightforward. Just the Nerdhat podcast. Our tagline is,
It's pretty.
yeah. It's like we don't have patrons. We have
Not yet.
We don't have
Nerdhatters. So this is all about starting community for the Nerdhatters. There will be Nerdhatter chatter on there where you can talk to one another. That is going to be available at all levels,
I love
including the free membership level. And there will be some paid membership levels as well with 3 different tiers, $1, $3, and $5 a month. And there'll be different benefits for each tier, and they're cumulative. So I'll let you know more about that as time goes on. But for now, find us, join us for free, and then take a look at the tiers. Decide if you want to join us at the paid level.
It's exciting. I don't know why I said it that way.
Dive into the Nerdhatter community.
So excited.
All right, well, that's all I have for news. Do y'all have any news? Anything you want to plug, talk about, wax philosophical about before we jump into the main episode?
Our baby's growling.
Uh-oh.
What did Uncle Will do? What did he do?
I mocked you. I'm kidding.
Wow. Wow. Right.
Okay, can you
For
sit on my
goodness
side?
sake.
I don't have anything to say. I have lots on my mind, but I don't want to talk politics on the podcast.
Oh, but it'd be so fun. Has anyone tried buying eggs lately?
Yeah, we do very deliberately try to avoid
And that's
politics here,
for everyone's mental health. We're going to
Yes.
avoid that.
with the rare exception of if we're covering a property that deals with politics within the scope of it. Like
That makes
Star
sense.
Wars obviously deals with politics, Star Trek deals with politics, some of the other things we cover deal with politics internal to the storyline. So that's a little different. But yeah, we try not to get into mainstream U.S. politics because we want to give you a break from that.
And with
Yes.
that,
And ourselves.
with that, we should go ahead.
We should go ahead.
We should.
Yes.
Yes.
Here comes on the side. All right. So, William is going first. He elected to cover Usagi Yojimbo.
I believe that Laura elected me too.
That's right.
Because it
That's
took
right.
a while for us to choose.
She
but
elected
it was
for
a good
him.
idea.
I forgot about that. Yeah, she elected for you. So
Because it was taking a minute.
you was taking too
For
long.
It was
people to
it was a
choose.
good idea.
All right, Will. Are you ready to make your case, sir?
Yes.
All right. Your 10-minute time starts now.
Usagi Yojimbo is a long-running series starting in the year 1984. The book that I'm covering is from 1999, so it does build on previous stories from about 14, 15 years in the making. Despite that, it is quite an easy read because it doesn't require the reader to know a whole lot. about past characters and character relationships. Unfortunately, I'm not trying to diss my favorite comic book writer and artist, Stan Sakai, but it contains 54 pages of prologue.
Oh, it's like Richard wrote this book.
Not every Usagi Yojimbo book is like this, but it was a little hard for me to get back into this book because of it. It has 4 prologues that equal 54 pages. The first prologue is a story about a commie couple. If you don't know, Laura, or
Wow.
listeners,
Why was that directed at me?
because I'm trying to convince you
Oh, okay, I guess that
to read
makes
this
sense.
book. But our dear listeners, did I say readers? Our dear listeners, kami is a Japanese word for gods or deities. So this is a married couple. The first prologue is how they give birth to Japan and all the other gods. But the wife dies, I don't remember how, and she becomes some sort of corpse demon thing in hell. The husband goes to go save her, but when he sees how ugly she now is because she's a corpse, she's like, "You have disgraced me because you've seen how ugly I am now that I'm decaying, and I'm going to cut you down and kill you now." And he escapes.
Dick.
He escapes hell and all the demons and puts a big boulder at the entrance so they can't escape, and goes and takes himself a bath. And when he takes a bath, some other gods are created because that's how, I guess, they're.
The water gods?
I don't know. I think when he takes his robe off, Amaterasu is born or something while he bathes in the lake. That's important because Amaterasu creates the sword later known as Grasscutter. In the second prologue, Susanoo O, who I think is another god, slays the serpent of Koshi, which I feel like has a name in the video game Amaterasu, which is not connected to this story at all, which I played. But anyway, in Stan Sakai's version of this, Susanoo O slays the serpent of Koshi and finds the Grasscutter sword in its tail for some reason. I don't know why it's in there. It's not explained. But at this point, the sword is called the sword of the village of the clustering clouds or something like that. In the third prologue, Yanato Dake, who is a descendant of Amaterasu, a god, a female god, a goddess. He gets the sword, but he renames it Grasscutter because he cut some grass with it. It's a good story. It's starting to get a little more interesting as the prologues continue. I was a little bored at first, but they get better as they go along. The fourth prologue is when it starts getting really exciting. It's the Battle of Dan no Yura. It's a sea battle from real Japanese history. It is when Grasscutter is lost at sea. It's when a child emperor and his family are killed during the battle in 16. No, I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead. Yes, Grasscutter, the sword, is lost at sea. There are 3 divine relics. Grasscutter, the sword, is among them. They are the symbols of the emperor's power, divine power supposedly given to the emperor by the gods to rule Japan. But with the Grasscutter sword lost, he has lost his authority over Japan. Skipping to the year 1605, which is the present day year that the book is set in, we find a bunch of conspirators conspiring to take away the power of the shogunate, which is the head of Japan at this time. He's basically just a shogun warlord who is just fought a bunch of wars and won, and he's just, the head warlord over all the other warlords, the big head honcho warlord. If you haven't studied Japanese history, he's just in charge of Japan right now at this point in history. But these conspirators, they want to find the sword that's at the bottom of the ocean so they can put the emperor back into power. How much time do I have?
4 minutes.
Okay.
You're good.
So the story jumps back and forth between our main character Usagi, his best friend Junosuke, the bounty hunter Rhinoceros, Inazuma, some sort of a cat assassin. I guess she's a cat. I don't know. Noriyuki, the panda, the young panda warlord, and his bodyguard Tomo Ame, plus the villains Kotetsu and the witch Ryoko, who he employs to find the sword. And later in the story, we also have segments of Priest Sanshobo. The story is very interesting as it jumps between all the characters and eventually ties all their stories together into one around the end of the book. I forgot to mention, actually, that we also have it jumping back and forth with previous villain Jay and his traveling companion. I forget her name. It's a little girl. Jay, I can't figure Jay out. He's some sort of supernatural villain empowered by evil gods. But he believes he's emissary of the good gods. He's kind of backwards. His main mission in life is to kill Usagi because he sees Usagi as the most evil person in Japan. And when he comes across good people, he thinks they're evil. When he comes across evil people, he thinks they're good. He's got superpowers. Whenever the heroes kill him, he's able to, his demonic spirit is able to attach itself to a new host and resurrect himself. So anyway, what happens in the story is that Usagi just accidentally finds the Grasscutter sword as the witch Ryoko mind controls a bunch of crabs to pull it out of the ocean, which is cool. She mind controls a bunch of samurai to go get the sword from the crabs, but Minato Usagi, our main character, just happens to be there when the crabs are pulling the sword out of the ocean. And later in the story, Usagi believes that it was divine providence because he believes that the gods didn't want Lord Kotetsu to reestablish the emperor. But anyway, so the whole thing is about Genosaki's after the bounty hunter is after Inazuma, the assassin. She gets hurt. Jay has pity on her and brings her to Priest Sanshobo's temple to heal. Jin gets arrested by a corrupt police officer, but eventually escapes. Usagi keeps getting attacked by samurai assassins because he's carrying the sword now. Anyway, because my time's almost up, let's jump to the climax. Everything ties together at the end. Jin and Usagi meet up. They find Jay, who now has the Grasscutter sword. He is planning on using the Grasscutter sword to, he believes it's the ultimate sword of the gods, and therefore it should be his. But Usagi manages to get the sword from him, and he is able to cleanse Jay of his demonic spirits with the divine sword, turning Jay into a pile of ash. Unfortunately, Jay's spirit enters Inazuma and possesses her and kills all the priests in the temple. Sanshobo is out helping Usagi and Jin, so he's unaware that his fellow priests were murdered until they return to the temple.
It's time, so if you want to finish up your thought there, and then
it's a really good story. It continues into the next book, which is now that they have the Grasscutter sword, what are we going to do with it? But I know that the people that are listening to us can't see the book, but I was going to hand this over to Laura for a second, because what really is special about Stan Sakai's work is the images. He really is a master storyteller. His pacing is very good. You can tell a story with many different mediums, but he's just a master of this medium. And no matter what I can say can do justice. I cannot describe his penciling and inking, or his watercoloring, because he does do some watercoloring. Not in this book, though.
Does he do some of his own covers?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, he always does
Watercolor.
the graphic novels. He does his own covers. I do have some of his watercolored books, but not on me right now, of course.
This is really pretty. For those of you who can't see it, it's like there's almost like in the nature scenes, the details hurt my eyes. There's so many details. Look how many details. That's crazy. Also, I had no idea these were animals.
Yeah,
The characters?
It's,
I had no idea.
It's
But
an
we should
anthropomorphic book.
We should go ahead and go to Richard. Richard, it is your time to shine.
Moving on.
Dear Nerdhatters, I have good news. The Nerdhat team has officially launched a Patreon account. You can join us at one of 3 different tiers. Tier 1 members get access for only $1 a month to bonus episodes and the Nerdhatter Chatter discussion group. Tier 2 membership at only $3 per month connects you to bonus episodes, Nerdhatter Chatter, and voting rights. And finally, if you choose Tier 3, for $5 a month you get all of the above, and you will be invited to join us once a month for a live stream event. So what are you waiting for? Go to patreon.com/The Nerdhat Podcast to join the Nerdhatter community today. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming.
So, I'll leave it up to you, Laura, if you want to look at this while I'm talking or wait.
Oh, yeah, I can do
So there's a bookmark in where we start. Yeah, well, it starts where the bookmark is, the story we're covering.
Oh, okay.
Starts where the bookmark is, and it lasts about 120 pages, roughly. Which, it's a fairly fast read, I have to say, because I did go back and start at the beginning just to make sure I understood the characters and their origins and things. So I've read books 1 and 2 from this, so roughly 300 pages of the comic, and yeah, it felt like it went by pretty quickly, I have to say. Like, it's very well written by Mr. Jeff Smith, which I believe he does everything, like the writing, the drawing, I'm assuming the inking, the lettering maybe as well, at least initially when he started, probably did all of it. Maybe at some point.
Yeah, I believe he did the whole thing himself.
Yeah, so pretty good comparison to Stan Sakai, two artists who do the majority excuse me, of their own work, like the entire thing, like the writing, and they have both chosen black and white, which obviously is a little easier. You don't have to worry about the coloring, the coloration. But Jeff Smith has crafted a fun and humorous and mysterious story. It has elements of high fantasy.
Sorry. Side note, this is like how much our last child weighed when she came out.
That might be true.
You know how
It's a very
big
big.
a baby.
It's a very
That's
big
how
book.
much she weighed. That's how much she weighed. Little baby. Little baby. All right, continue.
I love the sense of humor. I love his art style. He's very skilled. From panel to panel is just very consistent with his art style in terms of like proportions and style. And his detailing is excellent. It reminded me in some ways of the detailing you do with your watercoloring, like with the ink detailing and some of his scenes. It also reminded me a bit of engraving, just the way he would use like little strokes to add texture and things, which I thought was really cool. So I enjoyed this all the way around. Like the story, the characters are engaging and interesting, and the artwork is enjoyable as well. I kind of like that it's just black and white. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by color comics. There's just so much going on visually. I don't know what to focus on sometimes. And with the black and white, I know he doesn't do color pops in there. It's just straight black and white. But he is really good at depicting action. He's really good at drawing your eye to where he wants in each panel. And the story is pretty easy to follow. The characterization is really good. Like, you know what these characters are about. So just to talk briefly about them, you have 3 main characters. We have Phone Bone, Phony Bone, and Smiley Bone. Now, I don't know if everyone in Boneville, which is where they're from, yeah.
Yes. It's based on DuckTales. We can explain that later.
Not to be confused with Bonerville. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, it's Boneville.
What's that street?
What?
What's that street that's like,
Street.
it's like Horny Town or something?
Oh, there's an actual town around here called Horny
yeah.
Town. There is a Dinkins Bottom Road as well.
That's just
not
cute.
too far away from
I
us.
think there's a Lizard Lick, North Carolina.
Lizard Lick?
Yeah.
There's some weird town names out there.
People are bored.
But so we have the story starts like if you go back to book 1, the story starts with Phone, Phony, and Smiley having been cast out from Boneville. They were run out of town primarily because Phony Bone, aka Fonsible P Bone, I believe, scammed people. Basically, he's the wealthiest person in Boneville, but he's also into scamming people. He'll do anything pretty much to make money, to get money, to take money. And he pissed enough people off in his town of Boneville that he got run out of town. Now, Smiley and Phone are his cousins, so they were willing to go with him in his banishment. So they end up in the desert. They're wandering around. At one point, they get separated, and then in different ways, the three of them run into this area known as simply the Valley. At least at this point of the story, even in book 2, I don't know any more about the location other than just it's called the Valley. And it is literally a valley. So Phone is the first one to run across it in the story. And over the course of book 1, he meets characters there. He has to endure a harsh winter, which comes on very quickly. He meets Ted, which is a tiny leaf bug with a interesting sense of humor. And he runs into the villains of the story. They come to be known, at least in the book 1 and book 2, as I read, they come to be known as the rat creatures. Mm-hmm. So you'll see them on the front page as well as in different places in the story. But they there's 2 in particular, and they're kind of a comedy. I don't know if comedy relief is the right word, but they're kind of a comedic duo. There's a lot of little gags. There's a running gag that involves quiche, if you've read Bone. But they call each other comrade for some reason. I don't know if they're Russian rat creatures, but they call them each other comrade. And the 2 of them, they're kind of sort of like the Bebop and Rocksteady, I guess, of at least the first 2 books of Bone. And they're part of a broader culture that we find out has a king, King Doc. But it seems like they're actually being run by this mysterious creature that King Doc refers to just as the Hooded One. Mm. And for some reason, the Hooded One has a particular interest in Phony Bone, aka Fonsible Bone. We don't, even by the end of book 2, we don't know yet exactly why he's interested in Phony Bone. But he's following along kind of from a distance. He's mysterious, he's hooded, he has these weird like bony fingers. You can tell he doesn't seem like he's one of the rat creatures himself, but we don't know yet, aside from a dream that Thorn, another one of the characters, she is a human, it seems, that, at least so far as I know so far, she is a human who Phone Bone first hears about. He's like, she knows everything, Ted the Bug tells her. It's like, she'll know how to get you back home to Boneville, because at this point, Phone is lost. Eventually, he runs into Thorn, and it's love at first sight. So we have some romance, initially unrequited. At the point that the story stopped in the end of the Great Cow Race, we don't see any clear signs yet that Thorn reciprocates Phone Bone's feelings. And they're different species, so we don't know if it'll work. But Phone is definitely smitten with Thorn. He'll do just about anything that she asks him to do. And she's very beautiful, like as she's depicted in the story. And she has a grandma, at least she calls her, Grandma Ben. We find out later her name is Rose, her first name. And she has some connection with Lucius, the innkeeper. And another important character that we run across, the Great Red Dragon, who initially people are denying that dragons even exist. So initially you're wondering, like, is Phone just hallucinating the dragon? And you're left to wonder that for a while, and eventually you find out, no, this dragon actually does exist. And for some reason he's watching over Phonebone and making sure Phonebone stays safe. Even though, as far as we know, he's never met Phonebone. But there's something else going on, and this is where some of the mystery comes into the story. There's something else going on in the background. We get little hints of it. Jeff puts in just enough to keep you interested and engaged, and interspersed in between just everyday activities like cooking, cleaning. There's humor between the characters. There's conflict between Phony, Smiley, and Phonebone. And then Phony gets into trouble with the residents of Barrel Haven, which is sort of like a small town in the midst of the valley. Because he's up to his old tricks. He's trying to scam them. And this is where the Great Cow Race comes in. Apparently the cow race is literally cows racing, and for some weird reason, Grandma Ben, aka Rose, also races the cows. Initially, I thought that she was like sending cows to race, but then you find out, no, she's literally running with the cows, and she apparently wins every year against the cows. And we find out over time that she's seemingly, for what you think might be a human, seems abnormally strong. Like, she's able to defeat, I think, at least a dozen of those huge rat creatures. They're bigger than
grandma?
her. Yeah, the grandma. She's super tough and snarky, and doesn't take any shit. And she definitely looks out for Thorn. But we find out that there was a war in the past between the rat creatures and, I guess, the people of the valley, we assume. And Grandma was involved in it. She fought the rat creatures back in the day. And Lucius, the innkeeper, apparently was involved as well on some level. And so was the Great Red Dragon, who knows Grandma. I can't remember. I think she calls him, was it Fred?
I don't remember.
I forget his first name. But throughout most of the story, he's known as the Great Red Dragon. Oops. Uh-oh. Trying to see how much I have left on the timer.
Oh no. Remember when I ruined the timer? Because I was curious about...
Oh, well, I don't know how much is left.
Okay.
Anyway, that's the basic storyline. So you have the cow race, and in the midst of the cow race, they run into the rat creatures, and there's this huge stampede of the rat creatures and the cow race, and just over time, interspersed with these seemingly normal events, we find out more about Grandma's background. We find out some interesting things about Thorn. She starts having these vivid dreams that seem to indicate that there's more to her than we might think. She's not just a normal orphan or something. There's something more to her story. But they haven't... And Grandma mentioned something about the turning, and Thorn doesn't... But we don't know yet, at the point that I stopped in the story, at the end of the Great Cow Race saga. We don't know yet what the turning is. At this point, I'm guessing, does she turn into a dragon? Because she was, around a bunch of dragons in her dreams. I'm wondering things. I'm sure Will knows. He's probably read the whole thing. But at this point, there's a mystery there. I'm it makes me want to read more. And even just the story, it's just the characters are fun. They're very, very easily distinguishable. Each one just has very distinctive personalities and senses of humor, and yeah, I really enjoyed this a lot, and I'm gonna keep it for a bit if Will lets me, because I'd like to read the rest of it, because I really enjoyed it actually. Yeah, and like I said, I kind of like that it's black and white. It's a little easier just to focus on the art itself. I'm not so caught up in the colorization and all of that. Not to knock people that do coloring. I know it's not easy. Will, you've done your share of it, obviously.
I'm thinking about going back to black and white. It's just a lot of work.
There's something nice and simple and clean about it too that I like. And so that's it. That's my plug for Bone. I can't say, I don't know what it was competing against in 1994, so I can't say did it deserve the Eisner or not compared to the other stories it was competing against. I can't say from that standpoint, but just from reading the story itself, I'm I could see why someone would vote for this, because it's really good and really well done. And it provides that nice little PG-13 line where it's kids can read it, but adults can also read it. And there's a little bit of adult humor scattered throughout that kids probably wouldn't even pick up on. Similar to the way like Pixar likes to throw little things in there that go over the kids' heads. But the adults are like, ha 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 ha. Yep. So anyway, yeah, it's kind of that tone. So I like it. All right, now it is Laura's turn to ask questions and decide.
I have no idea what's going on. First off, I don't think I've ever read a comic book. I get too visually overstimulated. I don't have patience, and I can't just look at a tiny box with characters, then look at the next box, then I'm just like, there's so much going on. Like I can't, my brain dies every time. So but I'm curious though, I haven't been that intrigued by comic books because it's like, you ever had a brownie and you're like, it'd be great, 2 brownies. But then someone gives you a whole plate of brownies, you're like, this is too much. That's what comic books are for me. I'm kind of like, in theory, that's great, but it's a little much. And I'm in my 30s. I need to watch what I consume. All right. Will, what can I say? The prologue. I was taking notes, and I was like, what is even happening? There's so many characters, and also there's so much going on. I had no idea they were animals, and that's fine. You said rhino in there one time, and I'm like, oh, maybe he's a rhinoceros.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you that they were anthropomorphic characters.
Yeah, I know that now.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about the corpse demon lady and why her husband's a dick. I'm curious why is he like, well, now you're ugly, I'm gonna go and do my own thing now? What's his deal?
Get away from me, witch.
Why?
Here's the page in question.
Will's showing me. I don't care.
She's pretty ugly.
She's scary looking.
See, he's waiting for her to go tell the hell demons that she has to leave, come back to life now, and he gets tired waiting, so he opens the door, and he's like, yo, you're an ugly corpse.
No, where does he say that? I want to see where he says you're an ugly corpse. I want to see it.
No, I'm paraphrasing.
I want to see it. You're paraphrasing.
His eyes are saying everything. He's like, what the?
That's not what he said, Will.
See, this is his wife. Then I must ask leave of the coming of the dead. While I am with him, I implore you not to look upon me. I will honor your request. And then he doesn't.
Okay, but he doesn't. That's so open to interpretation.
I said, look not upon me. You have shamed me.
So, just close. Now, see, there's too many things. I can't handle it.
And then she fell on
I'm overloading Laura.
So there's a lot of. At one point, they were taking baths, and then they turned, like, what? All I wrote down was nude magic. I want to know.
Oh!
Wow!
Little gods
so he's taking a bath, and he creates a daughter, and then 2 more sons. And they're like already old beards.
The water and more characters.
I don't know how Japanese mythology works.
Water banging, I get it.
At least he's not slicing someone open like Tiamat. Tiamat?
That's less creepy for some reason. There was a lot going on. I think I couldn't read a prologue.
Well, most Usagi Yojimbo books do not start with 54 pages of prologue.
54 pages.
Yes.
No. I'm guessing this was an important story to Stan.
I guess it was.
To do it justice.
He just really wanted to get all this Japanese mythology and history out there, and no offense to him, I don't know how important it was to tell all that prologue. I mean, the sea battle was important.
Water banging. So, is Grasscutter a thing or a person?
It's a sword. I'm sorry, I confused
So
you.
does the
You didn't know it was a sword?
evil dude there have the sword?
That's the sword. He eventually gets the sword.
He gets the sword.
I wasn't sure if that Grasscutter was like Lord Grasscutter. I don't know. I don't know.
I must have done a really bad job.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm tired. You're good. You're fine. No, don't. You're good.
Son,
Relax.
yeah.
By the way, Will, if you want to show the folks, he has a Usagi Yojimbo.
Hey!
I'm pretty sure this is
Hoodie.
official merchandise. My wife Mandy got it for me for Christmas a couple of years ago.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fun.
Good Christmas present, Mandy. You did it.
That is so cool. So, continuing on, I was very confused by all the characters. Is there spirit attackings? I think I just who knows? Who knows anymore? No, as I was taking notes, I was like, oh, this might be a comic book and not like, and I didn't know, okay, I didn't know.
This might be a comic book.
I was thinking, like, man, if I had to read this, this would be awful. Because I was just thinking it was just words, not a bunch of pictures. And
What?
I don't know, Will. I don't know, Will.
She forgot we were doing comic books this week.
It'll be okay.
No, I just didn't get it. Anyway, all right. It's February. January was way too long.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna go. So yeah, now I have more questions, but I'm gonna go over to Will, and I mean Richard when I say Will. Richard, I am surprised how much yours made sense.
Oh, good.
Way to go. I'm proud of you, buddy. I liked. Dang it, I only have that much time left. I really like it when characters have backgrounds and that they kind of like they tie together and there's humor between them. I really appreciate that. I think I'm gonna like dive more into the visual stuff. These are so drastically different. Like, have you seen this?
Yes, I have.
It's there's so much detail. I think this one is more visually appealing, but I don't like the character, like the blobby characters.
The bone characters.
I mean, if they're gonna be
that's phone bone on the front there.
Yeah, I gathered.
Most bones look similar.
I don't like the way they're illustrated. I think they could have been different. But again, I have not read it.
Kind of like Mickey Mouse if he didn't have any ears.
Or clothes.
I don't like
Or
Mickey Mouse.
clothes.
Or other features.
Not that he has much clothes to begin with. But.
No, don't say anything, because I know you're going to.
Oh.
So this is more visually, I think, tasteful. Like, I feel like there's a lot. Calm down.
Okay.
No, you don't need to do that. They already know what we're talking about. It's just the pacing of it seemed a little more calm and like, oh, I feel like I could follow this visually. And this was very good, very detailed. There's a lot going on. You said something about pacing. You liked the pace of it?
Well, it's hard for me to describe in words because I'm not very good at that sometimes, but Stan Sakai is considered a master sequential artist.
He's good. He's good. Is it he, right?
Yeah, and that's... I didn't realize just how much of a master he was. I have an embarrassing story I probably already told on this podcast, probably. I was at Heroes Con in 2019. Someone asked me what was so great about Stan Sakai, and I said that he was just a childhood hero, and that other people had other childhood heroes. I pointed to the guy over there who did, I can't remember the guy's name, but he did the Scrooge McDuck comics.
Oh, yeah. I like those.
And then one of the Heroes Con employees just looked at me and he was like, okay. And then later, that stuck with me. And then later, I did some reading. I realized just how much Stan Sakai is revered. He was my hero just because I found him through Ninja Turtles, and I just really liked his stuff. But later, I realized just how much people pick apart his work and talk about how he understands this and that. And I mean, I'm a cartoonist, comic book artist, but I don't understand a lot of the stuff that I do sometimes. I don't understand a lot of this stuff. I just
You mean like
draw.
structure? The structure of it?
Sometimes, I don't know.
Or like your layout, like why you choose certain layouts, that kind of thing. Like it's kind of more instinctual than.
Yeah, for me, it's more instinctual. I don't really know what I'm doing. I just do it.
Laura can resonate.
Oh, okay.
You're not crazy.
I don't know if I'm doing it right or not, but apparently Stan Sakai is a master. I don't know.
Is he alive?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
He's like really, I don't know what his
60s,
age is right
maybe.
now.
Okay. Well, hopefully he's not into podcasts. So sorry, Stan. I think for my brain, for the way my brain is structured, I would go. What's this guy's name? Jeff.
Jeff Smith. Mm-hmm.
Jeff. I'll go with the white guy's name.
Because
Because it's the pacing of it just is like I feel like it's more controlled. This feels more chaotic. And maybe it's supposed to. Maybe that's on purpose. For me, it's
more detailed, maybe.
For me, it's visually chaotic. Look, like so, like on the other picture.
It is also a little bit smaller page.
Slightly,
too.
but like I'm talking about like it's
Like the printing is smaller.
That's not what I mean. Man, I wish everyone could see. It's just
Yeah, hey, go
it's
check it out for yourself. You should read
check
it.
this out,
Yeah.
bitches. Yeah, there's just
Check it out before Diving goes out of business.
Oh, yeah.
what?
There's a big distributor of comic books that Will's been telling me about. Possibly selling themselves. No, they might be selling out. They probably won't go out.
Okay,
No,
hold
they're
on.
going-
Wait,
they're
back to
going out
me.
of
They're going out
I
of
know
business.
why.
Anyway.
I know why this is. So see these details.
Oh,
The
yeah.
people who are watching, these details are good, very well done. For me, I like a balance between thick and thin line work.
Okay.
I like a balance. There's a lot of thin line work here, and I need some more thick lines. And like a variety between thick and thin. And there's just a lot of thin. Like there's some thicker business going on here. Ha ha ha, thicker business.
That's what she said.
I can resonate. Give me that one.
All right.
Give me the baby book.
The bone.
There's just more, not more variety, but there's just it's different. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's just different. I think for my
Different
brain, I'm not saying one's better over the other. I think for my brain, I need something that's more this pace. I think I'm just really a stressed out human being. So the more stressed you are, probably look at that. You know how much ink that is?
No.
For those of you listening only, there's a whole page of like just ink, just ink.
Yeah, it's like one little.
And there's one little bloop of light at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's very, ooh, I like it.
He uses black a lot. I noticed he has night scenes, and they're very beautiful.
Yeah,
He
So
puts
much
stars in and
so
stuff.
much
yeah.
ink. So yeah. Visually, I'm gonna. So I don't know how do we. Who are we today? I don't know. I'm tired. Richard, I think I'm gonna go with your delivery. I like your delivery, but also I think I could manage this, and I don't know if visually I could manage this. That's where I am. Oh, sorry. So I can't do. Can you say what you usagi?
Usagi. I mean, it's Japanese for rabbit.
Oh, I cannot do the rabbit
Okay.
book,
We'll
but
say
I can do the
Yojimbo.
bone book.
Bodyguard.
Yeah, rabbit bodyguard. Very straightforward.
So in conclusion, Richard, 10 points.
10 points.
Will,
10 points for Gryffindor.
yeah.
Speaking of which, we got some Harry Potter behind us here.
Oh.
So behind us, I change it each week, each episode. Behind us, these are things that Laura likes, like nerdy stuff.
I do read.
Nerdy stuff that Laura likes.
Richard,
Neither of which we've covered yet, to our shame. Like,
that is so fun.
yeah, maybe they feel so ubiquitous. I feel like everyone's covered Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, but we should cover them at some point.
You know, I've never read it.
The whole thing? You've read parts of it, right?
Parts of what? Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
There's this whole, we could talk, it's tied into my childhood trauma. We could talk about it.
So did Tolkien traumatize you?
No.
We're talking about Harry Potter then?
No.
What?
It is, I will say, it is very dense. Like, this would be like the Usagi Yojimbo of novels. Like, it is so dense. It has so much backstory, so much history, which me, as a nerdy 19-year-old, the first time I read it, 18, 19-year-old, I loved it. Like, but I read it over an entire summer. Like, I took my time with that anthology there, which I've had that for 20-something years. Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit first.
Love the story, haven't read the book.
Much easier. It's more designed for kids. It's a much lighter read. That is very dense.
Oh, Harry Potter?
No, Lord of the Rings.
Harry Potter's not. I mean,
Harry Potter is a much easier read than Lord of the Rings. I would say.
Yes.
I love both in different ways.
You know, J.K. Rowling doesn't stop for 3 or 5 pages to describe how sticky the bushes are. And Frodo's hiding in the bush. I don't care what the bush looks like.
That's funny.
You spent 4 or 5 paragraphs describing the stupid bush.
Potatoes.
That's funny. That's
Boil
funny.
them.
Again, way too many characters. We don't know too much. Too much.
Yeah, my favorite chapter is, I think, chapter 10 of the first book, called The Council of Elrond. But part of that's just because I love history, and I've always loved history. And honestly, that book, which might have been purposeful, reminds me of the Bible a little bit. Just how dense it is, and how layered it is. Yeah, which may have been very personal on Tolkien's part. Anyway, we're not talking about Lord of the Rings today, but yeah, it's Laura themed.
That is so. Thanks, babe. That's so nice.
Yeah, that's what we should do for our next podcast. I'll read the Book of Mormon, you read the Quran. I'm kidding. Let's not do that at all.
No, but perhaps we could cover the musical, The Book of Mormon.
Yeah, it was written by the South Park guys.
Was it?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think cults are fascinating.
All right. So
I'm kidding, by the
way. I would argue more so than my pitch, just Bone itself won this week.
You're so biased. You don't get to say.
I mean, I've read both of these.
We
have actually covered Usagi previously, a more in-depth.
Fine.
Well, I didn't say more in-depth, but it was an overview of Usagi, whereas this was just one storyline specific.
So I think we need to proceed.
Yes, we need to proceed.
Nerdhat, Smiley Bone here. I have good news. The Nerdhat team has officially launched a Patreon account. You can join them at one of 3 different tiers. Tier 1 members get access for only $1 a month to bonus episodes and the Nerdhat Chatter discussion group. Tier 2 membership at only $3 a month connects you to bonus episodes, Nerdhat Chatter, and voting rights. And finally, if you choose Tier 3 for $5 a month, you get all the above, and you will be invited to join them once a month for a live stream event. And remember, free members can still participate in the Nerdhat Chatter. So what are you waiting for? Go to patreon.com/the Nerdhat Podcast to join the Nerdhat community today. Tell them Smiley Bones sent you.
Okay, so I've got categories in here. If you would grab the hat. So, big thank you to our very first donator of a Nerdhat, Retroid Games. So, they are based...
Can we make sparklies go...
What?
Oh yeah, on the
that?
Instagram I can do that. Make it sparkly. So, Retroid Games, they're based here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They sell classic and current video games. Well, actually, I think they do some new as well, but used as their specialty. And they have an excellent selection, I have to say, and you can tell that they put some time and care into getting these game systems into good working condition and ready to go. And hey, this got me excited. If I had a bunch of money to blow, I would totally have bought this, but they have an Atari Jaguar in there. Now it's $600, which I can't afford right now, but if I had money to blow, that would be so much fun. I wanted one as a kid. That and the Atari Lynx. Like, I wanted both of those video game
That's
systems.
the portable one, right?
Yeah, the portable one.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
very first, supposedly the very first 16-bit handheld system. But they have an Atari Jaguar, supposedly the very first 64-bit video game system ever made, and they have some games for it too, which is pretty. And controllers. I nerded out when I walked in and saw that. I was like, what? And the guys there are great. Like,
I want the
and
Dreamcast.
They very graciously agreed to donate this hat. So, Retroid Games, check them out on Instagram. I believe it's just at RetroidNC. And of course, they have a website link on their Instagram as well. But if you live here in town or if you're visiting Winston-Salem, check them out. They're on Burke Street near downtown. So, thanks, Retroid. All right. Time to draw out of the hat.
Who's doing the drawing?
I'm drawing since I won.
Oh.
But you can shake it up. Here,
You shake it up.
Let Will shake it
You
up.
shake it up, Will, and then
Shake,
Richard
shake.
can take the thing out.
Shake it up. Shake it up.
I mean, come
Smiling.
on. Do some real flipping.
Do
there.
it
Shake,
like
shake,
you
shake
mean
that.
it.
Shake that son of a bitch. All right.
This is fun.
All right. Here we go. The category. Do I have one? I just have one.
Richard.
The category for next week is Such Unfortunate Souls.
What?
Disney movies that freaked us out.
Okay, I can roll with this. I can be here. I can be here for this. I can.
I don't know if any Disney movies even freaked me out.
Well.
Well,
I don't know.
maybe
We're gonna have to do a
maybe to
deep
be more
dive.
precise, since I came up with these categories, Disney movies that freaked me out as a kid,
Bambi.
or at least they had sequences
Fox
that
and the Hound.
freaked me out. Okay, here we go. So,
Sleeping Beauty.
unfortunately, I have not come up with more than one option in this. So,
Oh my god.
I just gave you 3, Richard.
so that's true. So
So Bambi freaked
we can
my
throw that.
brother
So
out.
Bambi. What was the other you mentioned?
Fox and the Hound.
Fox and the Hound. I did actually consider that, but that one didn't. I didn't see it as a kid, so it didn't scare me. But that scared you.
It was. I can't.
She can't. Just can't, Richard.
So and Bambi kind of freaked you out because
I'm sorry.
I'm just giving you options.
Oh, okay.
We don't want that talk. Let's not talk about it right
Well,
now.
the two options I did put down were The Little Mermaid versus The Great Mouse Detective.
Why did either
What?
of those pick?
What?
Well, Ratigan at the end. Like
That's different.
the climax-
What about Ariel? Or
Little Mermaid?
Little Mermaid. What was?
Ursula and the Souls, the Cave of Souls, like
Oh,
that.
that
some
bothered
freaky
you?
shit.
That
Yeah.
bothered you, buddy?
When I was a kid.
I thought it was cool.
You thought it was cool?
Dude. I'm a weird child.
All right, so confession. These freaked me out. Well, those sequences at least.
I've
freaked
been
me out
watching
when I was a kid.
Ghostbusters since I was 4.
And then the Bat character in Great Mouse Detective was a little freaky too. He was a little scary.
Oh, sure.
Like,
Sure.
He was funny at times, but then he was also scary at times. It's like
I think we need to.
Anyway, so since I only put one option in there,
Bambi, Fox and the Hound.
yes. Did they freak you out as a kid?
Yes, Richard.
They did.
I already said this. I already said this. Can we? Oh, so we have to
I'm-
actually
I'm
say
sup-
what we're gonna
Well,
do.
if we have more than one option, then I'm supposed to pick.
You should do the one that freaked you out.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Little Mermaid versus Great Mouse Detective. And Will, since you lost, you get to choose which of those two you will cover.
What?
Little Mermaid versus Great Mouse Detective. You get to pick which one you're gonna cover of those two.
I guess I'm gonna do Great Mouse Detective because I have fond memories of my grandmother taking me to see it when I was like, I have no idea how old.
10?
Oh.
Oh, wait.
No.
Why would
93?
you? Why do you, have
93?
to, you don't have to guess his age.
I was trying to remember when it came out. 93 or 94, somewhere in there.
I'm pretty sure it's older than that.
You might be right. I always get that one wrong. I feel like.
Such a good movie.
Anyway,
Pretty sure it was 80s.
you could be right.
So good.
Okay, so Will's gonna cover the Great Mouse.
It came
Detective.
out in 86.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know why I thought 86. Wow.
Before
okay.
my time. Will.
And I have not really seen it since the 80s.
Oh, it's
Wow,
good.
you would have been 1 year old
1 year old.
in the theater.
Well, she took me to see it at some
Maybe it was like a
library or something.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where it's at, everyone.
okay.
Little kids,
The
libraries.
Ronaldo Library? Ronaldo Man?
Yes.
Isn't that where you saw it? I remember you telling me about that.
That's not one.
Maybe you were both there.
No, we weren't, and it was Snow White.
Okay, never mind. All right, so I'm covering Little Mermaid. Will is covering Great Mouse Detective next week.
I'm covering Bambi. Screw both
covering
of you.
Yeah. All right, so Nerd Hatters, thanks for joining us for another week. As we mentioned last time, please take a moment to go onto the podcast app that you listen to us on, whether that's Apple Podcast or Spotify or Amazon Music, whatever it might be. If they have a rating system, please jump on and give us 5 stars. No. We do want you to be honest, but we kind of don't, but we kind of do. Anyway, give us a rating. You know, if you write one out, that'd be a review would be awesome too. And if you do give us a review, we will read it on the episode. You know, as long as you don't use any really bad curse words. You know, like,
Really bad.
you know, nothing really bad. But otherwise, we will read it on the next episode. So we'll keep an eye out for that. So yeah, give us a rating. That helps us get the podcast out there. And, you know, like us, comment, subscribe, all those good things wherever you find us, YouTube, Instagram, Podcast Land, etc. We would really appreciate it. Well, hey, I keep forgetting to do this, but before we go, y'all are doing creative work in your life. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything coming up for y'all that you want to plug or promote before we go?
Ooh, I do, baby. Yes. I do. I have an art installation at Camino Bakery on 4th Street in downtown Winston-Salem. You should look at it. It's cool. There's stuff there, like snacks and coffee, and Camino's just great.
And beer.
And burr.
And wine.
And wine.
And bread.
And that cheesecake stuff.
Cheesecake.
Nice.
Yeah.
Quiche.
But skip all of that. Well, don't skip all of that. Please partake. But
yeah.
I have 27 art pieces out, and they're really cool.
It's like a gallery.
It's like a gallery. It is. And there are also prints there. So stop on by.
Yeah, if you're
On
here
your
in this
coffee
area.
breaks.
And anywhere in the contiguous U.S., I guess. If you want to go online to her website, lauramoralesstudios.com, you can buy a print and we will mail it to you.
We do that.
Yeah, we do that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Will, how about you? You got anything you want to plug? No.
Anything we can,
No.
anything we can pray for? We're in the South.
But you have a website, do you
We
know?
pray.
You have works you have created?
Some of my past accomplishments, you can check out my webcomic Super Milo at www.milocomics.com. It will take you to Comic Fury, where my Milo comic, Super Milo, that is at. You can find the physical copies to buy at indieplanet.com, including a issue 0, which you can't read on the webcomic website. It's a 14-page exclusive story that can only be read if you buy the book from indieplanet.com. I think I would like to return to Super Milo. I've been doing a bunch of religious comics, but I think I'd like to get back to Super Milo. You know, so check it out, milocomics.com. But yeah, just doing the podcast right now.
Thanks for being here, Will. We appreciate you taking time out of your life to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is my life.
This is like, fuck yeah.
I wrote a post just the other day on my LinkedIn, actually, just talking about the importance of collaboration and how, like, Will, without you joining early on, like, this podcast I probably would have quit. Like, I don't know if I made it through the
So
first
it's
season.
my fault. You're blaming
Yeah, it's his fault we're still here. And then, so you've just been a big support to me in the podcast, and,
Right.
and you're the reason, like, that it's kept going. Like, I think I had 2 other podcasts. They didn't make it past 6 episodes, ones I was doing by myself, and this one we're now coming up on like 125-ish episodes. So
It's a lot.
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like we
Of
should hold
course.
hands.
Of course, Laura came along in season 5 and brought new life into the podcast, skepticism, humor, and all of those wonderful things.
Sorry, I'm tired. I get weird when
We're all tired.
So yeah, thank you all for being here. And this is my main creative work, but I mean, I do work with Laura.
He takes care of my inventory.
Yeah, like
my marketing.
I don't handle as much of the creative side of that, but a little bit of writing in there. Some of my past work is the Path to Geekologist YouTube channel and a blog as well. Feel free to check that out if you want to. And you can follow the three of us individually on Instagram if you'd like. We have is it at Cartoonist Will? Is that the official handle?
Yes, if you Google Cartoonist Will, you will find tons of accounts that are me. I don't know which one you're talking about. But
I'm thinking of your Instagram.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on DeviantArt. You can find my art, my blah 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 blah, my portfolio on DeviantArt. I am Cartoonist Will. That is my alias.
I think you're most active on Facebook, right? Like
yes,
but just your normal self.
Can't we put our handles in the description?
Yeah.
We'll just do that.
Yeah, so check there. And if you go to our podcast website, there's links to milocomics.com and links to Laura's website and links to my work as well, outside of just this podcast. So check our stuff out. Thanks again for joining us for this episode, Nerd Hatters. Until next time,
sayonara.
Live long and prosper.
Good night, bitches.